I'm going to explain how you set up camera configuration in Kmotion. Going into config, we've already dealt with miscellaneous config, but if you click this drop down, you have configuration for all of the possible 16 cameras. Now I've only got one camera, so we'll go with cam 1. Okay. First thing you need to do is enable the camera. So click on enable and click apply. It will pop up to say synchronization may take a little while. Okay, we're already online and there is Tux. Excellent. So I'm just going to walk you through the different options. First of all is device. Now my camera is a USB camera, so it's Dev Video 0. There's your 16 possible videos, followed by network cam. Now if you select network cam, it livens up the URL, proxy, name, password. You can fill in those details and then it will access a network cam. I know this works because I've actually linked through to cameras in Sweden with pan tilt zoom and it works beautifully. Anyway, going back to Dev Video 0, which is where my camera is, you can, if you've got like a PCI video input card, select the input. I don't need to. It's a USB, it's not a problem. But all of these options here enable you to connect to most video feeds that you're going to need to. Next is the width and the height of the video image you're trying to capture. Not a lot to say about that. The wider and the increase in width and the increase in height will obviously increase the number of pixels, which will increase the storage used, increase the CPU load, blah blah blah. 320 by 240 is a good compromise. By all means you can play around with those, not a problem at all. Camera name. Now each camera is labelled 1, 2, 3, 4. You can also give it a name. So we'll call this Tux Cam 1. Okay, all good so far. Next, enable motion highlighting, the draw box. Right, probably the easiest thing to do is actually to show you that. So I'm going to click apply, which will update all those changes I've just done. Be a few seconds and you notice the clock will start to change again. 55, there we go, it's just settling back down again. Right, if there's motion at the moment, you get a little square box that comes up and shows you where the motion's being detected. You can actually turn that off by unticking it. I find it quite useful. Your mileage may vary. Right, next, now this was a really interesting thing to program. Click on the image to edit the motion mask. These 4 pink squares are just the defaults. What you're actually doing by clicking on the screen, oh, and also you can take them off by unclicking, is you're directly editing the motion mask. So if you've got some trees or something which are moving around, causing the motion detector to keep tripping, you can mask them out simply by clicking on the screen. I had a lot of fun getting this part to work. So what I'm going to do, I'm just masking half the screen. Now bearing in mind we've got enable motion highlighting, so it'll draw a box if it sees motion. So click apply. Give it a few seconds. Okay, right, we know it's back live. Yep, okay. Now very gingerly I'm going to bring my fingers in and I'm going to move them up and down. And you notice there's no box. If I bring them across, you notice there's a box. So as you can see, this is a motion mask. By default it's in the 4 corners. You can turn that off, whatever you want to do. It's more just to highlight the fact that the feature's there. Can be useful. Okay, I won't bother unclicking all those, it's going to take too long. Right, next, if there is motion detected, and assuming you wanted to record the motion, what frames per second should it record at? Image, frame and snap quality, and movie quality in kilobits per second. These are reasonable values. Again, you can change them, it's not a problem. Now next, if there is motion detected, and assuming you want to record it, do you want to record it in frame mode or do you want to record it in movie mode? You can't have both, as you notice the boxes change. Frame mode gives the best quality, the best archive playback, and has quite a few advantages. Disadvantages are: 1, disk space, it uses a lot of hard drive, although hard drive these days is very cheap, and 2, if you're looking at it over a restricted bandwidth link, then it does use more bandwidth, so it's going to be slower if you're looking at it from the other side of the planet. So effectively the way that this works is it records the movie as a sequence of JPEGs, a sequence of images. Or you can enable movie mode, which records the motion as a flash SWF movie. This uses a lot less disk space, uses less bandwidth, is not quite so pleasant to view through archive. Ideally use frame mode, but SWF does work. It's perfectly acceptable, it's just not quite as good. Next one, enable additional live image updates, may increase server load. Okay, without going into an awful lot of explaining on this one, leave it ticked. If you really are having issues with the server being overloaded, then you can untick it. But you will find that the live updates get a little bit kind of jolty. Okay, if you really need to know what that does, email me and I'll go through it with you. Oh, incidentally, while we're on jolty, the camera updates when you're in this mode are 1 per second no matter what happens. It's purely just to give you a visual cue to what's happening. Right, next, enable snapshot mode. Record an image in time-lapse mode with a pause between images of however many seconds. Pretty clear, I think. It'll just go away, and every 300 seconds it takes an image, and it takes an image. Can be useful if you're looking at something, not much happens, but you just want to keep an eye on it or be able to go back in the archive and look at it. Okay, I think that's that. Oh, no, we're not quite. Once you've enabled a camera, you can go into PTZ mode. I think we've already gone through that on another video. Also, you can go into server load. Now, you're altering all sorts of things here, and that's going to affect the server load. If you click on the server load button, it will give you all sorts of interesting information, including uptime, 3 hours, what kernel you're using, load averages, central processor unit, how much memory, and if it's using any swap. If it's using swap, you're in trouble. Right. So this can be useful. You can tune your camera settings to this. Another thing that's kind of useful is if you get any errors, I'm going to select Dev Video 1 and apply. Now I haven't got a Dev Video 1, so things are not going to work very well. But what should happen is, motion errors comes up in red. And this is the error output from the motion daemon. Found to open video device Dev Video 1, no such file or directory. Just giving you a hint as to what's happening. Okay, I hope that was useful. Thank you.